but yeah, sure.
Yeah. But now we're probably live. So welcome to the stream, everybody.
Probably.
I'm here with my trustworthy minion, my little happy feet penguin Paddleson. Say hi, Pat.
Hello.
And we have our guest who's typing something on the computer because he's probably
yeah.
hacking away on something. I think he's hacking the neighbor's Wi-Fi again. Anyway, Benjamin is here.
Hey guys.
And I had a huge intro of you, but to be honest, like, you do too many things. You're the founder of Disobey, you have a company, work at a bank, you are part of a TV program, you're a father, you're probably like a professor at a secret university, and probably you like founded SpaceX, you know, and in addition to that, you probably actually created the theory of relativity. I think it's just a rumor that it was Albert Einstein. It was actually you. So how the fuck do you find time for all this shit?
Yeah, that's probably the nicest intro I've ever had so far. Yeah, I do a lot of stuff. I multitask, I suppose. Like I try to combine things. So when I see friends, I try to like make that something productive. And then when I like do some exercise, I try to make that somehow productive so that I can like have meaningful, productive discussions when I'm doing something else, and then just try to prioritize things. I suppose I don't like just go out drinking and partying that much, and that's like saves up a lot of time, because that means that the weekends actually are able I'm able to do stuff instead of just like lying in bed all weekend. So I don't know. I suppose I have a hard time not doing things that I feel passionate about, and then I just try out a lot of things, and some of them work and some of them don't.
So tell us more about some of the projects. Like maybe we'll start with your own company.
Right. So we just started, or we started it from a company, or we started the company for actually creating this hand cream for climbing. that was the like initial thing for why we wanted to do it. We needed to have like a legal
Lube?
structure to start dealing with all of the like suppliers and start doing all the negotiations and so on. And we're still developing the product. It turns out that developing a cosmetic product is not like quite that easy at the end of the day, but we're getting pretty close. We have like a very good product, and when it's gonna be out, it's we're gonna start selling it, and like that came out of a need for having something that actually works after like bouldering and climbing, because especially like my hands from just banging on a keyboard all day are very soft. And when my soft hands meet hard rock, they break and they need like some TLC, and there really wasn't any like national or like any sort of products that we found that were really suitable for what we were doing, and we just decided like fuck it, let's do one ourselves. And then it kind of snowballed from there, but then at the same time the Team Wax things sort of started, and then I needed to have a way of billing for that, like a legal structure to send bills to the production companies and what have you for the work. So it morphed into this all legal commerce company that we we have. So if we just like get involved with a project, and we can help somehow, and we can help people accomplish their goals, or figure out how to be more secure, or just think about a strategy for like a security setup, then we're more than willing to help, and we use whatever spare time we have to do that. But yeah, it started as a cosmetics company, believe it or not.
So
So very
basically,
good
what
big
you're
company.
saying is that you created a company to sell lube that also does security. So like, if you go to one of your customers, then do you bring them lube as well? I mean,
It's not lube. It's
oh yeah,
like
sorry.
it's based on beeswax, so it creates this protective layer on your skin to keep most moisture out, and especially like if you cut your hands and you have like these open sores, they take forever to heal unless like moisture is kept out. So like using beeswax for it uh, gives or puts this like wax surface on it, and they heal a lot faster and protect the hands as well, I suppose. I mean, theoretically, I guess you could use it as lube. I mean, it's an organic product, so it's like safe enough to eat. So why wouldn't it be like safe enough for whatever else purposes you want to do with it? I'll be sure to give you a can of our next batch, and you can report back with results.
Yeah, we leave that to you, Akim.
No, I think that was meant for you, Pat. That's just saying.
No, yeah.
Maybe you could use it for your beard as well, like beard wax.
No,
Yeah,
you actually use oil, but yeah. For
Oh.
mustache, however, I do have some wax.
yeah. I need to actually try that. I'm having this like beard growing project now because of COVID, and like I'm starting to realize that I need to figure out how to actually deal with my beard. It's a completely new problem for me. Never had this.
So now we talked about your company. You also have a day job at a large Nordic bank.
Yes.
What is your role and what are you doing there?
I am the head of cyber intelligence analytics, and I do, I suppose, special projects for cybersecurity. Like I used to run our incident response team, and out of that, we recognized the need for having more of a like a threat specific approach to doing security, like actually understanding who we're protecting against, what we need to protect, what our capabilities are, where the gaps are in terms of our capability, and then yeah, the work quickly became too much for one person. So now I'm hiring more people to do more aspects of it. So what we want to be able to accomplish is to have like this internal security research team, if you will, or threat
Mhm.
research team that is able to produce like meaningful analytics based on the data that we are able to gather, and then give that in a silver wrapped package to the executives so they can make a decision or an informed decision about where the risk appetite should be for the organization.
Mhm.
So yeah, we look at things like the recent border crossing thing of Russia, where they're trying like airspace things, and then we look at how that ties into geopolitics and how that ties into the potential for testing the boundaries in cyberspace as well, and then we start looking at where we could detect those types of indicators, and we start thinking about what we should do with those indicators, and then we start mapping what our capability is in terms of detected indicators and like yeah, a lot of really interesting stuff. That's the stuff I'm allowed to talk about.
Mhm.
Then there's a lot of stuff that I'm not allowed to talk about
Of
for
course. So
obvious.
it's mostly blue team, but are you also doing some red teams, or are not red team exercises, or are you not allowed to talk about that?
Well, we are doing red team exercises. Some of the but red team exercises are not run from my team.
Mhm.
We are facilitating purple team exercises though. So when there is a combination of a red team and blue team, like vendor producing some sort of meaningful, information for our SOC or our we call it our cyber defense center. Then we're involved with mapping that to the existing capabilities and making sure that everything is as covered as it could be. So like that's kind of the extent I'm allowed to talk about.
Yep.
Like the offensive operations I'm involved in.
And I guess Joachim would do pink security instead.
Yeah, I would
That's an
probably do
internal
pink.
joke, but
Pink hat hacker, yeah.
the pink team hacking, yeah. No, that's an internal joke.
So when you do threat and intel for a bank, I assume, I don't know if you're allowed to talk about it, but I would assume you also sort of look into some of the attacks that are ongoing towards your customers and things like that, and try to find out who's behind them and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, we try to do attribution to the level that we can do attribution, and then also we at times take the cases all the way to court, and then it's like either me or one of the SMEs that are then as witnesses and like providing evidence for the prosecution.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I guess there's probably, since you're a bank, there's probably like a lot of money laundering and that kind of stuff. Are you involved in that kind of stuff at all, or?
Not really. That's on like the fraud side. So AML and fraud overall is probably I don't feel super comfortable talking about it, but I mean, we have a split responsibility boundary between cybersecurity and like the fraud department, essentially, and then we do some things together, like cooperation wise. But maybe we could talk about something different from that.
Let's move to another more fun topic. Let's talk about maybe the Disobey conference.
Oh yeah.
the Finnish DEF CON conference, basically.
Well,
so you're the founder.
I am, and I'm also the artistic director now. We have split the responsibilities because we've grown so large that we need to have split the responsibilities between technical direction and artistic direction. I'm the artistic director, and then my friend Mikko Pervila is the technical director there. We also have a security director. I don't know if he wants his name to be public or not, but we have a large-ish organization now. When we started, it wasn't that like I was doing most of it. I had a few friends who were helping out, but then as things go, when you do something that resonates with people, you start needing more help, and then we brought on more people to help out with different things. Like this year, I think we were around 150 volunteers, event staff, and like sponsors who were working inside of the event, who are then like part of the magic sauce that makes it what it is, I suppose. So yeah, it's grown a lot bigger than I ever could have possibly imagined. We actually had our kickoff for 21 and our like thank you party to our volunteers last weekend on Saturday, and we were at this location where you could almost see where we started, and I was just thinking that like just for the staff that we had this year, is about the same size as the first event was. So people that were just like working for or to making it happen, to making it like be what it is. Yeah.
And the first event was in 2015. 16? Okay.
So 16 was Disobey 1. We were at Ravintola which doesn't exist anymore, but we were there, and it like 45 minutes after we opened the doors, we were sold out, and that's insane because like we didn't have a marketing budget, and we just had a website that was like encrypted with ROT13. So you had to solve the website to even get to know when the event was, what it was about, and like where to show up. And still we managed to fill the venue, which was amazing. So the year after that, we moved to Kattilahalli, which was like across the yard, essentially, in Suvilahti in Helsinki. And suddenly we could fit around 800 people in. And like that was the first year it felt like a real conference. And that was also the first year that I realized that I need to have like a split responsibility. I can't be responsible for the event like alone for essentially 72 hours straight. That's like no sleep, constant stress. Like it's just not a sustainable thing. And that's like, and then the year after that in 18, Mikko came on board and helped with organization, and we started like shifting things around. I mean, he's a veteran event organizer. He's been doing things since late 90s, middle of the 90s. Like he founded Ropecon, which is this rope, or was a part of the founding group of people who did Ropecon, and like done huge events, been involved with role playing scene, been involved with like the games industry, like done every time I talk about like some specific event or something cool that happened at a specific event, he goes, "Oh yeah, I remember being a part of organizing and how we could get those things." And I just go, "God damn it! Like, there's no way you could have been involved with everything." And the other guy, the security guy, he's like a long background organizing music events and so on. So he's like, he has the experience of how to do security for a very rowdy crowd, which helps immensely when you're dealing with friendly hackers who just want to like hang around and have a computer and like have fun together. But setting the like security or the safety of the event at a high enough level makes it like a safe space for everybody involved. And that's always been the goal. I've always wanted to have an event where anybody can come to and go, I don't know anybody, I don't know anything, and go up to anybody at the event and ask, and then they will just start explaining, and come with us, we'll help you get started. You're like, do you have any questions? And it seems to work. It seems to have become ingrained in the DNA of the event. Like I was recently reading this first year or this like, what's your favorite Disobey memory things, and people were essentially going, yeah, like everybody's super friendly, everybody's like super nice, nobody is like trying to act all snobby and like trying to be like a super gatekeeper for what it means to be a hacker or what it means to be a security researcher. You're just like accepted as who you are, and then you're allowed to like do whatever you want. And I think that's the real accomplishment of Disobey, having a community where everybody at least has the chance to be themselves, and then grow and become like the best version of themselves, whatever that means. So it's worked great so far. At least I feel super proud about what we accomplished, and I'm super proud about the entire team and like everything that they've gone. I'm super happy every time somebody comes up to me and tells me like a Disobey story about how they met somebody there, or how they started a company because they met at Disobey, or how they feel comfortable talking about security now that they've been there, or how they realize that they want to work in this field or this area because they came there and they had so much fun. So it's like, I'm super happy that we managed to change what information security means from like all the guys in suits in like wherever, just being boring, to something that like is more of this chaotic creative force that is able to solve whatever problems they are thrown at. That was a really long like monologue and answer about it, but like this is you kind of just need to push me a little bit in that direction. I'll not stop talking about this. So if you,
So, were you surprised by the number of visitors? I know I was there in 2018 together with some of the teammates here, and I don't know how many people the venue takes, but it was pretty crowded actually.
well, like every time I'm surprised that we sell out, like or that we end up in a situation where we need to start thinking about, can we let more people in? And that's in a strange way, that's my like biggest worry. I don't want to turn anybody away from the door. I don't want to be in a position where somebody who wants to be there can't come because of regulation or fire regulation or whatever. And that's been the main motivation why we've moved to a bigger venue every time. But so yeah, I'm like every time I'm surprised that people show up. Every time every time I'm happy, and every time it's like the ending ceremony on day 2, when there's still people around and they're having a good time and people aren't just like bored of it all and they want to keep going. And the stream of like tweets and social media posts afterwards going like, oh man, I don't want to go back to normal life, is like what keeps me coming back to the masochistic thing it is that organizing events is requires from like the sacrifice it requires from all the people that are involved, especially when you're doing it with volunteers.
I
So, who
kind
do
of
you
like
think all of these people are? Is it like a huge community already in Helsinki, or is it coming from across Finland or across the world?
Yeah, from everywhere. Like we in I think,
Well, I came from Sweden, so
yeah, but like in 2019, we had volunteers all the way from Australia. It was like, wow, how is this possible? It turned out that they were like studying abroad in Tallinn, but like still, they were from like Australian people that lived in Tallinn that came for Disobeying volunteers. We've had people from the US, we have people from all over Europe. Yeah, we have yeah, people from like all around the place. It's amazing, and it's like super nice that it's like people who share a common passion for yeah, this whatever this is and show up and enjoy the event, enjoy each other's company, and enjoy doing the things they're doing.
I kind of like the idea that you had for the first conference where you need to like solve the page to even find the location. Is that something that might return one day?
Well, like it takes a lot of effort. There's a very uncertain like thing to the end of it. I would like to have like a secret party thing that you can only find if you solve a puzzle that's not announced anywhere. It's just like this random sticker on a wall somewhere in the event, and then if you like start digging down the rabbit hole, you find that there's a secret party on on whatever floor, whatever hotel, or whatever. And then if you show up there, like you have an amazing time. You're with people who've also uncovered the secret.
but what if you're the only one?
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? But like this community every time surprises me. Like every time we think there's no way anybody is going to solve our hacker puzzle, somebody does it, and usually fairly quickly. So I don't think there is a problem hard enough that it wouldn't be solved.
And of course, then we cannot forget about next year's Disobey. So,
Right.
what's the plan for 2021?
Well, it's the same as it's ever been. We just opened up our call for participation. We're moving along as if everything is normal, and but we're monitoring for what's going on in terms of COVID. We will have the start of ticket sales on the 1st of December because of this thing that's going on, or this pandemia. So if it then at the start of December looks like there's no way we're going to be able to organize the event we want to organize, then we're just going to call off 21 and focus all of our efforts on 22 instead. So we are not looking at doing a virtual event. We just don't see that we would provide any sort of additional value to all the virtual events that exist. Like, everybody's doing it. I don't think people will be super stoked about one more virtual event. So we're going to leave that to the CitySec groups and the CitySec like virtual meetups. I think those are good for community building, and they provide the value that is happening in those communities. And then we want to focus on the physical event with the things that entails. And if that's not going to be a possibility, then we're not just gonna organize one for 21.
So let's cross our fingers and hope for this to go away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I'm hopeful. It's like it's a long way still to go. Things.
Someone mentioned
Yeah.
on Twitter. I mean, you had a post. I think it was yesterday about the Corona app that we have in Finland. That it's a safe thing, and you recommend to install it. And one guy actually recommended that if you have events, that you would require people to have the app. So, I mean, if there is any chance of organizing, maybe, requiring something like that on people. I mean, of course, not everyone wants to use it necessarily, but something like that could be additional protection maybe for the
There's
attendees.
of course, several flaws with that. So you still have to voluntarily sign up and say that I am COVID positive. That is something you voluntarily have to do. At least that I think it was the implementation in the Finnish Corona app.
Yeah.
I listened on your interview with Yle
Right.
that you did. So we can actually maybe talk about that one. So you mentioned in this interview that you were previously against those kind of tracking apps, but you changed your mind after several of the apps became more open or transparent, like what kind of data they collect, and many released it as open source. So do you want to share your opinion about that?
Yeah, so like originally, when I was interviewed about the potential for doing a tracking app and what the privacy implications of having a like tracking app is, I was talking about the privacy implications of having something that has your identity and stores your location and is controlled by a central server. And in that specific scenario, I don't think, like, regardless of what the potential good outcome for it is, I can't think of a scenario where I would be willing to give away that much of my privacy to like any entity. uh, I don't really care what the promise is for data retention or reuse or whatever. Like, it's too much information I'm giving away for myself. Like, I don't want anybody to have like a complete history of where I've been at any given time. Now, when I say that, I realize that my phone operator has that information already based on like triangulation and like towers and whatever, but like I don't want to willingly give it up to an additional like third party.
Yeah,
And
as you mentioned already, your phone company, Facebook, Google.
Yeah.
You don't want one more.
Yeah, like there's just no reason to pile on. Like, there's people that go, yeah, like, we've already lost the game, like, let's just push for full transparency. Everybody knows everything about everyone at all times. I really hope that's not where we're going. It kind of looks like we are, and it kind of looks like privacy is dead, and we don't really need to like fight for privacy anymore. But I don't want to stop fighting, and I'm going to continue fighting for as long as I'm able to. And in that type of scenario where the COVID app would be violating my privacy or like the user's privacy to that degree, I'm still very strongly against such an app. I don't think like the current situation like warrants that type of app. It's not they're not gonna stop tracking you once the situation goes on. They're just gonna find new uses for the same data.
Yep.
And that's just like a bad idea. However, the implementation of the GAEN like API, the Google Apple exposure notification thing, where it's essentially like an alphanumeric ID string that is randomly generated multiple times an hour. I think I don't remember the exact amount of times, but it's like multiple times an hour. And then the only thing that's stored is those alphanumeric like identifiers that for like the duration of time that they've been in the proximity based on like USB beacons, right? And then if one of those alphanumeric strings become COVID positive at some point down the line, then you'll get a notification that you were in contact with this, like check for symptoms, maybe get tested, whatever. I don't think you're losing out on any sort of privacy aspects there. I don't think you're losing on any sort of health data. I don't think you're losing on any PII really. So the benefit of that, though, is that we might be able to stop one chain. We might be able to save actual human lives. So the trade-off of like losing the like randomized identifier for a Bluetooth beacon against potentially saving human lives is like a clear choice for me. I'm gonna choose potentially saving a human life.
Yep.
Even though I know that if we manage to do that, it will never be newsworthy. Like nobody will write an article about how the COVID app saved like 5 old people or 3 people in a risk group or like 10 school children or whatever. That's not going to happen, but it's still a possibility that because of the fact that myself and a lot of Finns are using this app, that might happen. So it's worth it to me.
Yeah, and that's maybe something that could be quite difficult to approximate as well. I mean, or measure, because if that saves lives, then how can you measure it even? I mean, it's a pretty difficult equation in the sense that maybe if you have been exposed, then they stayed at home and didn't meet the person. Like, how can you measure that? It's pretty difficult, I guess.
But it's kind of like working in security, like all of we are.
Right.
It's easy to measure how much you will have to pay if you get sued, but all of the investment that you do in security and all of the attacks that you have prevented, that is like impossible, because how many did we prevent? Well, no one knows. So was it a worthwhile investment? Well, we don't know until we do get hacked and we get sued.
Yeah, I mean, Mikko Hyppönen calls it security Tetris. Like your successes disappear, but your mistakes pile up.
Yep.
And it's like it's not newsworthy if like company X didn't get hacked today.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe we should start tweeting that, Pat. We didn't get hacked today. Woo! Success.
That's like, I think it's called a canary. Like keep on tweeting each day. We did not get hacked. We did not get hacked. But if you one day do not tweet, you haven't said that we were hacked.
Yeah, warrant canaries as well.
Exactly. Yeah. So basically, the warrant or the canary warrant is you put up on your website. We have not shared data with NSA or whatever. And once that is removed, well, you haven't broken any NDAs. So it's kind of workaround.
Yeah, it's brilliant, and like but also quite meaningless, because like the government can force you to keep it up, but but I mean, I understand the sentiment behind it, and it's I think we're talking about one of the core issues that we have in security. We're really bad at talking about our successes and like talking about what's good and what's working. You know, we always focus on the things that are broken or that needs to be fixed, and or where we failed. And it's not like I went to work today and I created a new use case for a threat hunting scenario, and this threat hunting scenario didn't find anything. So I'm not gonna talk about it. Like, the fact that it didn't find anything only means that like your threat hunting scenario hasn't happened yet, uh, which is a good thing, and that the fact that you didn't find anything is an even better thing, because you've checked TTPs for a threat actor that are known, and you've verified whether or not those are existing in your environment. And because they were not existing in the environment, you can't say that they're not inside of the environment, but you can say that this particular threat hunt didn't like find anything, so at least these TTPs aren't like in there, and that's more information than you had before you did the threat hunt. And like adding all of that into some sort of like positive narrative about how we do security and make things better is kind of hard. And I think that's where bug bounty programs are doing so well, because like they're rewarding finding vulnerabilities and fixing vulnerabilities. So so it's like
Yeah, I think we
it's not.
need more like achievement celebration kind of. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I did this thing, it didn't find anything. Yes, that's a good thing. So
Yeah.
we need to be able to like have achievements and post about the success more than we do now.
Yeah, and and it's super hard. Like you were saying, like what's the return on investment on like preventing something? Like yeah, sure, I can show that we didn't lose revenue. Like I can show that we have application uptime is like good enough. And I think IT and outsource partners are getting really good at that. I think they're like understanding how they do the math. Like they understand meaningful metrics, but we're still like so specialist driven in security, especially like in offensive security, that even writing a report that states like how you can fix the issues that you've uncovered seems like a superpower for some like red teamers or penetration testers, where like most of the reports, and I don't mean to downplay the importance of it, but like most like generic vendors produce this, okay, we found these vulnerabilities, but they have like no steps for how you should get out of that. And I'm not saying that it should necessarily be their job, but I'm saying that would produce a lot more value for any client. Like if instead of just focusing on what the problems are, actually providing solutions to the problems, actually providing like creative ways of like fixing the uncovered issues and the vulnerabilities, we
Yeah,
would
and
start
maybe
change this into a lot more mature business model.
yeah, maybe even saying, let's say you have a penetration test or whatever, and then saying that okay, these parts were like really good, like you're doing good in these sections or whatever, but
Yeah.
these are the problems, and to fix these you should do this and that. So yeah, more like a wholesome approach to the whole thing.
No,
Yeah.
I completely agree with you, Benjamin, related to bug bounties. So they have a completely different approach when it compares to a standard pen test company report. Like it's so much more open, and they're having like a discussion with the researcher and coming up with solutions how we can fix things and so on. I really like that kind of mentality.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I think
collaborating. Yeah.
yeah, collaboration is good. And one thing I also think that the bug bounty community kind of does a lot is like bringing up stuff that's cool. You know, we don't do that much. You know, here's a cool thing, but
Mhm.
the bug bounty scene does a lot of that.
Yeah, and I mean, sure, it's boring to have like a 4x4 matrix that like shows you how implementing a security control has lowered your like risk level or whatever. But even that is like producing a narrative about security successes. Like I was just talking about this yesterday at 600 minutes of cybersecurity, where the gist of my talk essentially is that like we need to stop thinking about security as something that's a part of business, and we need to start thinking about business as something that's a part of like security. And like every company that wants to stay in business for any duration of time needs to think about how they integrate those type of like security controls, those types of risk mitigation efforts into their business DNA, so that we're not in a situation where security is like the last gate before production. Like so we develop this cool thing as cheaply as possible, as quickly as possible. We're gonna get it to market very quickly. That will give us an jump on the competition. We just quickly need to penetration test it, and then security comes in and goes, yeah, you can't do any of these things because it'll expose everything to everyone. And then the business units is so heavily emotionally invested in the product, they just go, we're just gonna accept the risk. No problems. Problems, full steam ahead. Yeah, and that poses problems for everybody, because when the risks then materialize, whoever accepted the risk might lose their job, but that might not be the worst of it. Like there's all kinds of reputational damages, there's all kind of potential compromise vectors that will allow a criminal or an attacker to swim into the organization, get a very concrete foothold on the system. I don't got them. I forgot where it came from, but like if you asked Microsoft what to do if Active Directory is compromised, their response essentially was like, "Don't get compromised. Like there's nothing to do afterwards." Yeah, and there's AD hardening. There's I forget what it's called, like Red Forest or something, where you can take the clean parts and start slowly migrating over users and what have you. Like there's ways even out of an entire AD compromise, but I suppose that's not as common anymore with ransomware. But yeah, I'm getting sidetracked. The point was that we need to start understanding how we can communicate on a level, and how we can play the politics that's required on the defensive side to use the responsibility and use the power that we're given. Because I think most executives in most companies understand how important this is. They see what's going on in the world. They see these huge ransomware attacks. They see what happened to Garmin, for example. But nobody is able to tell them what the specific risks are for their organization, or have any way of getting out of those problems. So they get a report that's saying, yeah, we're on track on our security budget, but we might need 100,000 more to do, I don't know, endpoint protection. And they go, I understood most of those words separately, but I don't understand what you're trying to tell me. So okay, under 100,000 sounds like a lot. Can you do it for 50? And then it's cut, and the security guy goes back to the organization, goes, they didn't understand anything. Leadership sucks, without taking responsibility for their role in it. They failed in articulating what the problem was, and they failed in articulating what is required to fix the problem. And by doing that, they are taking the decision for what the risk appetite for the organization is, and they have forced the leaders or the executives to make uninformed decisions about what risk appetite they feel comfortable running in. This is getting really enterprisey and super high level hand wavy stuff, but I think it's an important topic to discuss. I don't know if if we have an audience of 2 people, then maybe they can get some cool information out of it. But if nothing else, then at least the 3 of us will have shared experience about it, and then we can talk about it in our organizations and try to get better at it. Try to understand that we need to play the game. We need to speak the language, and we need to take accountability for what our responsibility is in the organization.
That really hits home pretty hard. I know for a lot of people and a lot of CISOs and security managers, this is one of the biggest struggles they have, getting sufficient budget to actually protect the company in like a decent way, or even in a good way. So I really feel you. Like I understand the problem,
Yeah, I
but
mean, it's not a new thing.
yeah,
Like but I don't think anybody is like, or people aren't brave enough to stand up and go, yeah, this is probably something that I should be better at. They just want to like outsource the responsibility to somebody else. They didn't understand, or I didn't get the proper support, instead of
yeah,
saying, like, I could have done this better, I could have stepped up.
yeah. The board of directors suck because they didn't give me money.
Yeah, they didn't
Maybe.
understand when I showed them all these fancy memes on this like presentation.
Yeah,
Had GIFs, god damn it, and
yeah. Maybe
and then
maybe your company can start selling this as a service to CISOs and security leaders across the world, where you coach them into discussing and conversing with the C-suite level on a in a good
I would,
way to yeah.
that's a really good business idea. Now I just need to find the customers and prove the validity of the claim. But I mean, how hard that can that be? It's not like there's that much competition.
So, should we change topic maybe and talk a little bit about you? How did you came to be the one who you are? What is your background?
Yeah, so I've always been like fascinated with uh, electronics, mechanics, fascinated with how things work, and like doing empiric studies. Like I suppose my first uh, empiric test was probably with one of my oldest friends, and we saw this phone booth that was outside of our school, and every window except one were broken on the phone booth. And my friend goes, I don't think the stones will break those windows. Like, they're too thick, and something else must have happened. And I go, I bet they will. Let me try. And sure enough, the window broke, and we got caught and had to pay for it. And yeah, and like that's kind of been my approach to most things. Like I suppose I got into like hacking and computer security with like guessing the password for this child lock thing that my dad had on his computer, and I was just like hammering away until I got it right. And like I want to take things apart. I want to understand how they work. I want to analyze everything into the endless detail, and then like come up with some sort of explanation for why things are the way they are and how they could be better. Like what can I do to make it better? And sometime in my teenage years, probably, I read somewhere that like it only takes one person to change the world, and everybody should try. And ever since then, like, that's been my mission in life. I'm going to change the world for the better. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know how or what I will accomplish by doing it. I'm just gonna keep working at it until something gets a bit better than it was, so that when I leave here, things aren't worse. And that's like that's my driving motivation. Like we have this journey, and a lot of people are just focused on the start and the end, and they miss everything in between. And by doing that, they focus on too much on like the destination, and not enough on the journey. And I think the journey is as important as the destination, and sometimes even more so, because if we're present in what we're doing, and we're looking around us and trying to see what's going on, then we can find things, and we can find people, and we can do things, and we can influence people, and then that can blossom into something that works, or maybe it won't, but sometimes it becomes something magical. And I mean, here we are, I'm talking to you guys on Twitch about like philosophy on and idealism and like how we could improve the entire security industry by being better. And I think nothing's really changed. I've become older, I'm wiser, I realize that I don't need to fight every fight, I don't need to win every battle. Like sometimes it's a lot more important to just forgive and move on than hold grudges and like yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm still finding out things about myself. I'm still finding out like how I could be a better dad or a better husband or how I could do something smarter at work.
I kind of want to take you back to the thing you said about journeys. So
Yeah.
Heikki in the chat is saying that maybe the real bounties hackers make are the friends along the way. And I guess for you, especially, you know, organizing Disobey and all this stuff, do you feel like that's the real bounty that you've gotten from all this?
I honestly, I feel like my life is so much richer. I am having so many interesting conversations. I've gotten to meet so many amazing people. Like I wouldn't be the person I am today without the things that I've done. And one of the bigger things that I've done is Disobey. And I feel humbled. I feel like I'm at a loss of word, really. I don't know why what I'm doing resonates with people. I don't know how I managed to find myself in a position where people listen to what I say, because to me, I'm just like this weird dude who who likes weird things. But apparently, there's a lot of weird people who like weird things, and
yeah, I mean, for example, Dist is saying that you're the most chill person on the planet, and you always calm him down for some reason. Always makes me a better person too. So
that's
more kudos to you.
So you have this word in Finnish called sisu. I don't think there is an English translation, but it's kind of like this determination of having like a purpose and don't back down.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that's a good way of forming it. Yeah. It's like this. Yeah. It's like don't stop in the face of adversity, regardless of how down you are. Like always, just get up. I think Rocky said something about it's not about how many times you get like hit down, it's about how many times you get up. And I think like that's kind of the gist of Sisu.
Yeah, I think from the English language, probably the closest word would be something like grit. Like grit in your teeth, you know, you just don't fucking give up. You keep on trucking.
Yeah, keep on keeping on.
Yeah, exactly.
Something along those lines. Yeah.
We also have a saying in Finnish that put your chin against your chest and go towards new disappointments. So that's
honestly, Finnish sayings and songs are like the most depressing shit ever.
Yeah, I saw this kid's book with just Finnish sayings. They're like creepy as hell.
Yeah, like, but even our like Christmas songs are essentially going life, the life like pitkä on elämäsäkin kurja ja ikävä, which is like life is long, but even the long life is just like horrible and miserable. And that's like what we sing on Christmas when we're happy. I think like we've been given such a bad starting position in the world for the longest of time that we just like gone embraced it to the point where we're just gonna go, it doesn't really matter what you do to us, we're just gonna get up and do what we do anyway. I don't know. Like I said, I'm just a weird guy who likes weird things, and I'm happy that there's other people who feel passionate about some of the same weirdness.
Do you have
Yeah,
any
I think
other inspirations? Like, who do you get these ideas from, or do you come up with them yourself?
Well, I'm inspired by a lot of people. I'm inspired by a lot of music. Inspired by a lot of art. I'm inspired by a lot of like great thinkers of the world. I think every one of us stands on the shoulders of our teachers. So like everybody who's ever taught me something is like I bring them with me. I try to make them proud. I try to make them like or in my mind I try to like envision them like seeing me succeed, and that brings me joy. Some of the things are like things that come up in discussions, things that come up in things. I think out loud a lot. So like a lot of times when people who don't know me from before talk with me for the first time, they just get this word vomit, and that like I'm just full on things that I haven't really thought out properly. And especially in those contexts, sometimes I say something smart, and then and then I go, "Oh yeah, that's what I was meaning to say." And then the next time I'm having a similar discussion or a similar conversation, I use the smart part I said in the word vomit, and then people think that I have smart thoughts. But it's worked so far. Yeah, and as long as you're not the recipient of the first word vomit, then you usually end up thinking that I make sense for at least some of the time I'm speaking.
That's a great idea.
I would say that a lot of people are probably attracted to your weirdness, in a sense that probably a lot of weird people like ourselves are sort of feeling some kind of, connection because we're all fucking weird,
I hope so. Like I was thinking about this when Team Wax season 2 came out, and I was like, if one like slightly chubby nerdy kid who likes weird shit is at school and going, oh shit, if that guy can make it, there's hope for me. then, then, then I've like everything will be so worth it. I'm like so happy that I could bring like joy and hope for that one kid, or like that group of kids or whatever. But it seems like there's more than one kid, so I'm super happy about that.
An interesting question is actually when, for example, let's say on Disobey, there's like 1,000 people coming. They all share the same passion and things like that. So, isn't that the new normal? Are you actually weird in that context, or are the other ones the weird ones?
Yeah, I don't know if we're like
Where's
mainstream
the
yet.
turning point?
Yeah. I hope we're getting there. I hope we're getting to the point where it's actually cool and it's like socially acceptable to be passionate about whatever you're passionate about, and people stop thinking in terms of what they don't like and start thinking in terms of what they like. So they form tribes around like these passion things instead of forming tribes around hating other things. And if that happens, then we've completely changed the world. So like let's take that as our lofty goal. Let's get to a position where everybody is allowed to like whatever they like, as long as it's not harming anybody else,
You
and
know,
and
I
and like
think that
live
you're
for that.
I sorry. I think that
Yeah.
if we can somehow bring your vision of this world and accepting the weirdness, or praising the people that are very interested in certain things, if we can bring that to the schools of the world and bring it to the children, right?
Mm.
Then maybe there's a chance of, let's say, bullying decreasing, and more acceptance to all kinds of strangeness in humans.
That would be amazing, and I would be so happy, like so happy. If nobody
So
needs to go through like half of the shit that like people my age went through because liking computers it was like not cool, then oh my god, like the world will be so much better.
But I see
so
we are
maybe
slowly getting there. Like we have a lot of big thinkers today, like Elon Musk. He's like the biggest, and he's not the best when it comes to speaking and things like that. We also had the late Steve Jobs, who had the famous talk, "Here's to the crazy ones." Like there's been so many big thinkers recently. So give it a few more years, and well, or a few more generations actually, but we will probably get there eventually.
Yeah, and I think it's like slowly changing, and I think like the young people now, they're so I forget who said it, but they're so like accustomed to being constantly online. They're constantly like they don't go online. They are like
Yeah,
online, and it's like to them all of this is normal. All of this is like has always been here. And I forget who said it, but somebody said that like they get all of the internet addiction and none of the technical skills, because most of them are using like touch screens and stuff. But there's a
Yeah.
few that are like interested in taking things apart and changing things. And I think those people who are now coming up with these like weird tweaks and weird hacks into these like systems that we're using now, those will think of things that we can't even imagine. Like they will have a competency on a level that will forever be unattainable to us, because like we can't intuitively ingest all of this. We can just like rationalize most of it, in and I think that's going to be like super interesting to see what comes out of it. I just really hope that we didn't like fuck them over with social media and like force them into these like narrow-minded thinking and like group things and tribes where they are completely obsessed by the appearance and superficial things. I hope there's a generation of people that reject that reality and just like embrace uh, the ugliness of the world, for lack of a better word, because like reality is ugly, and that in itself is beautiful.
so kind of like a social experiment. But yeah, I think we've actually seen some of that now during the pandemic here. Like kids that used to have like the phones the entire day, now they're actually going out and they're like talking to people and things like that. So they had enough. So at least I've seen some kind of resistance or some people that have actually changed how they live now during the pandemic,
Yeah, like
going back to the roots more or less.
Yeah, but I
yeah,
also think that, the what would be like, if you think about, if we kind of go back a little bit to your dream, uh what I'm seeing is like a disobey for kids or something like that, like affecting the
yeah.
kids.
I really hope we can do it. I really, really hope we can do it. What I want to, what I would love to accomplish is to have this, like we're doing disobey outreach for at-risk groups, but I would like to have like disobey education or whatever. I need to think of a better name for it, but like something where we would teach teachers how to teach technology, and then we could like scale that. So we could have a small core group of people that go to schools and have like a 1 day session with all of the teachers in the schools and go through, so this is what the world looks like right now, these are the things that you can like look at, these are the things you should look at, and here's our information pack. Like tell your students that they can log into this environment here and they can start like playing around doing whatever. And then when you no longer can answer their questions based on this like pamphlet that we have for you, tell them to log on into this IRC channel or this Mattermost or whatever, and then they will find a community that is more than willing to help them get to the next level and like in taking things apart, in understanding the world. And if we can accomplish that, then I think we will do a radical change over a long duration of time. But setting that up is going to take a lot of work, and it's going to take a lot of dedicated people. Fortunately, we have already started doing some of this work. There's already like some aspects of this that is being fulfilled, but it's not in a scalable model yet. So it's like individual hits at individual schools, and I would love for us to be able to do it like first on a nationwide scale, and then be able to like give this like toolkit of things to anybody who wants to use it, so that everybody could have access to the like information that's available to us.
But I kind of agree with this. Teach the teachers, because that's the only way we can scale it.
Yeah, and that's something that I'm slowly starting to realize. Like, it's not good enough to just work harder or work smarter. We need more people, so we get more bandwidth, so that we get like better scalability. But obviously, we still need to work smart, so that we don't like exhaust people and have them work super hard. But like it's about like finding the right people to do the right things, instead of like having enough people to just do some things. Shit, I sound poetic and stuff right now, but
Joachim, do you have any more questions?
No, I kind of feel like we can, like, that was kind of like when what's his name had an apple fall on his head and found gravity. We kind of end at that stage, you know. So
yeah.
so
Yeah, thanks for comparing me to Newton. I'm not quite there yet, but like maybe someday I'll be able to invent something that will go down in the history books as like actually changing humanity. That would be awesome. That's also like ridiculously naive and idealistic, but
maybe
I
you
think,
already did with Disobey and being here, speaking your mind and things like that. But the tragic thing is that we really never knows until it's too late.
yeah, until we're
know,
dead, then
yeah,
then you can become a legend.
yeah, well, you never know if you're living in the good times until like afterwards, right? So so like if you're looking back and going, those were the good times. When you were living in the good times, you didn't know it was the good times. And I'm just gonna pretend that every single second of every single day is the good times, regardless of all the shit that's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And on that note, thank you so much for being our guest.
Thank you for having me. This has been a pleasure, guys. I hope we can do it again sometime. This was been my first like Twitch stream thing. I don't know if somebody was obviously watching. I almost teared up by the nice words from Dist and the guys Heikki on the channel. I love you guys. You guys are amazing. Yeah, I don't know. Let me know if I can help out somehow, and let me know if you can do something or want to do something with whatever we can do.
Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you, guys. And
Thank you.
thank you for everyone watching. Bye.
Bye.